Lambeosaurins. Welcome you guys once again to the channel, Ranking with Dinosaurs, where we rank, you guessed it, dinosaurs. Today, we're going to be tackling the sister family group, clade, whatever you want to call it, I can't remember right now. Lambeosaurins. So, I did about a month ago, I think so. I think a month ago around that time, I did a Saurolophine tier list. And I think I did a good job of coming across as impartial, but compared to Lambeosaurins, I think Saurolophines are like a step under. Like Lambeosaurins are, in my opinion, much cooler. They have the thing that separates both groups here, which are the crests. So basically, Lambeosaurins have crests. Saurolophines usually don't have any sort of ornamentation. They do have some, kind of like Saurolophus, which I did state in the video, I have a problem with that being a Saurolophine, but there's other morphologies that come into play there. But today we're going to be talking about Lambeosaurins, the cooler Hadrosaurs. So without further ado, we're going to be starting with Lambeosaurus. So we're going to be starting with the namesake of the group here, Lambeosaurus. One of my favorite, right out of the gate, one of my favorite ones. First of all, the crest is very distinct. I really like it. Some people say it looks like an axe. I kind of look at more like if you've seen like a halberd, like the blade of a halberd, like there's like a back spike going through the back. I think it kind of looks like that. I don't know. Let me know. But yeah, Lambeosaurus it'll give you the body plan of every single Lambeosaurian. It might change from has some differences between one another, but it's got the long limbs. Got the long limbs, deep tail, they could stand in either four or two legs, 2 legs if they wanted to forage a little bit higher foliage or vegetation. And, their characteristic crests, which makes them just better than Saurolophines. Sorry for the shit on Saurolophines again. But yeah, there's 2 species. There's Lambe, which is the type species, and Magnacrostatus. Yeah, Magnacrostatus. Yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, one of its most characteristic features is the crest, which was used probably as a vocalization tool. Also, I want to say, sexual and species identification. So it was either, to tell which ones were male, which ones were female, or, again, because they had widely different crests. I think it made it much easier for them to ID between each other. So Lambeosaurus, I kind of really like Lambeosaurus, honestly. I'm gonna put an A tier. I really love Lambeosaurus. HYPACROSAURUS from, you guessed it, Alberta, Canada, and Montana in the United States. So, HYPACROSAURUS is a Lambeosaurin. It has a tall, hollow, rounded crest. However, not as tall as another Lambeosaurin, CORYTHOSAURUS, which is coming up as well. But yeah, this one, HYPACROSAURUS differs from other Lambeosaurins by having much taller neural spines than usual. Like, they were pretty tall. They gave it like a really tall back profile, made it much bigger than probably would have looked like with normal neural spines. And yeah, in the 90s we discovered babies and some eggs as well. And these babies, what showed us is that they went through a lot of changes when they were growing up, especially the teeth, which were different than adults in a way that they were probably eating different things than adults. And, as they grew, they got replaced with their newer teeth. And their crests as well weren't developed at all. They had little bumps, which would have been adorable. But yeah, they definitely didn't need them, as they were more for, as I said, sexual display and species identification. So probably Hadrosaur babies looked very similar to each other. HYPACROSAURUS. Now, 2 species, Sternbergi, I think, and Altispinus. Don't know if I like it much more than Lambeosaurus. I'm gonna put it in B tier, right below that one. It's not kind of want to put in C tier. Yeah, C tier for HYPACROSAURUS. VELAFRONS. Right, so before I talk about VELAFRONS, I just want to say, I wanted to pick a Lambeosaurin that was not from North America, and I said, oh yeah, VELAFRONS. I remember VELAFRONS. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about VELAFRONS. And then when I'm about to record, I realized that there's another Mexican Lambeosaurin that has a crest, and I have a figure of, so I could show it better. It's Untitled. I think it's funnier if I just talk about VELAFRONS. But yeah, VELAFRONS from Mexico. Spoiler alert: Late Cretaceous, Mexico. We actually only have a skull and part of a skeleton, and from what we can tell, it was actually a subadult, so not even a full adult. And this is compared to other closely related genera like CORYTHOSAURUS. Yeah, VELAFRONS was closely related to CORYTHOSAURUS. And yeah, basically, it was a subadult, and we only have like one skeleton, which is funny. And when we have Untitled, and I have a Untitled figure. But what's cool about VELAFRONS is that it's called, but while being a subadult, it was huge still. So it was one of two things. It was either their crest grew at a different rate, so much earlier in life their crest got bigger, or it was just insanely huge. Like VELAFRONS could be like a huge ass Lambeosaurin, which it's not out of the realm of possibilities, especially because it's from Mexico, and in Mexico we have two cases of giant Lambeosaurins, like, well, not Lambeosaurins, but Hadrosaurs, CORYTHOSAURUS, and yes, MAGNAPAULIA. So VELAFRONS, I actually kind of like it. It's kind of cool, and the fact that it could be bigger, but it's a subadult. Again, I put it in B tier and C tier. Sorry, VELAFRONS. MAGNAPAULIA. So we're gonna move into MAGNAPAULIA, a Lambeosaurin from Baja California, Mexico. And yeah, this is a Lambeosaurin, the largest Lambeosaurin that we found at 41 feet, which is insanely big. So what sets apart MAGNAPAULIA from other Lambeosaurins? First, it was thought to be it was first described as a Lambeosaurus species, Lambeosaurus laticaudus. However, it was later redescribed in 2012 and given its own genus. Why? Well, part of its tail that we have, it had this very tall, again, spines like HYPACROSAURUS earlier. So it was closer to HYPACROSAURUS, not so much Lambeosaurus. And this gave it the huge appearance that it has. Like, I cannot stress enough like how big MAGNAPAULIA would have been. And actually, from the tail part of the fossil, we did find some skin impressions too, which, again, they're like 4 centimeters wide. For scales, that's insanely huge. But yeah, MAGNAPAULIA, we don't know the crest as well. It was actually first reconstructed as a Lambeosaur-like crest, but think of it as probably more like a HYPACROSAUR one, like a more rounded, more shorter one. MAGNAPAULIA, I'm gonna put it in, I want to say, actually don't mind MAGNAPAULIA. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's huge. I'm gonna put it in A tier. OLOROTITAN. So we're gonna be moving on from America in general. We're gonna go through East Russia. That's gonna be in the Urduchuk formation. I probably butchered that. Sorry, my Russians. But yeah, OLOROTITAN is an amazing Lambeosaurin. First of all, it's from a group of Lambeosaurins that lived in Asia and by extent Russia as well, and that was alive at the end of the Cretaceous. So, if you don't know, Lambeosaurins in North America, they disappear. They kind of disappeared in the late Maastrichtian. Most of the Lambeosaurins I've been talking about are from the Campanian, so 70, 71, 72, 73, 75 million years ago. But OLOROTITAN lived all the way to the late Maastrichtian, all the way to the late Cretaceous, 66 million years ago. So that makes this particular group of Lambeosaurins, Asian Lambeosaurins, really fascinating in my opinion. something else. Talking about the actual animal, I have a OLOROTITAN figure here, one of my favorite figures that I have. And right away you can see the crest right here. It's really unique. It has like a hatchet kind of crest right there. I don't know if you can see it. Its name, OLOROTITAN, actually means Titanic Swan, which gets its name because of the long neck that it had. Most hadrosaurs had 15 neck vertebrae, but OLOROTITAN has 18. Absolutely based OLOROTITAN, got that neck game going on. But yeah, OLOROTITAN, pretty awesome. I mean, the Titanic Swan, bro, that's aura if it's ever seen some. I guess, I mean, OLOROTITAN, I'm gonna be straight with you. It's gonna go straight into S tier. I'm sorry. Yeah, CORYTHOSAURUS. Now, we're going to be moving on to CORYTHOSAURUS again, back in North America, Western North America again. This guy lived in the Campanian. He lived with, actually, Lambeosaurus and another Lambeosaurin. We're going to be talking about later. But yeah, we actually have a ton of CORYTHOSAURUS specimens, especially skulls. They're very abundant. You know, the tall, rounded skull, it actually resembles cassowaries, how to say, cassowaries, and I don't know if it's because of the name, I can't remember that, but it also resembles Corinthian helmets, which are from ancient Greece. If you haven't seen them, check it out. Search them. They actually kind of look like them. But yeah, CORYTHOSAURUS is a Lambeosaurin, very abundant, as I was saying. Probably lived in herds as well. Some of the scans from the actual skulls, because we have so many, actually show that they had pretty good hearing, which again lends to the credibility that they were vocalizing with those with the crests. But yeah, some of the CORYTHOSAURUS that we found, I think just one specimen had like its last meal preserved, so it was eating and it just bit the dust, and it had like conifer needles, some seeds, fruits, and nuts as well. So it was probably a generalist in eating that. It was probably a browser, eating whatever vegetation it could find. But yeah, CORYTHOSAURUS, I like it. It's not my favorite. I think it's a little bit better than HYPACROSAURUS. So CORYTHOSAURUS, actually going to put you in B tier. I think B tier is fine. And actually one of the species is called Casuaris, so I think it's pretty obvious the connection that they made there. TSINTAOSAURUS. Now, we come to the mythical one. The unicorn dinosaur. The not so, not anymore unicorn dinosaur. TSINTAOSAURUS was a Lambeosaurin from China. This is from the Qingdao this is the Qingdao lizard. I can't remember if that's the formation or it's probably a place in China. And it was known as the unicorn because the skull that they found had like a protuberance very similar to a unicorn, and they thought it was just a horn, which is, very weird for a Lambeosaur, for any dinosaur to have, basically, because it's just a bone going up from its forehead. However, we now know, sadly, it was fake. Not sadly. They had the crest like most other Lambeosaurins. Pretty unique one, I want to say. It actually kind of went more vertically instead of having like a weird shape towards the side or the back or in front. But yeah, TSINTAOSAURUS actually split, phylogenetically speaking, a little bit early on in Lambeosaurin evolution, which makes sense with the crest that they had, because one of the things that I was researching is that these guys were missing a certain part of bone in front of the crest here, which made the crest much lighter than usual, than other Lambeosaurins. So probably later Lambeosaurins had a much better structure for having much more elaborate crests. I want to say TSINTAOSAURUS, I kind of want to put you in B tier. I'm going to put you in B tier, TSINTAOSAURUS. If it had the unicorn one, the unicorn horn, it might have bumped it up. PARASAUROLOPHUS. Now we come to the end of the tier list, and we're moving on to the most famous member. arguably the most famous member of Lambeosaurin, PARASAUROLOPHUS. Now, despite being the most famous one, it's actually pretty rare. Like, PARASAUROLOPHUS fossils are hard to come by. However, we do have 3 species. Very distinct species, actually. Well, not the first 2. Well, Chiron and Tubicens are pretty similar. Tubicens being, I think, a little bit larger. And Curticrestatus being the smaller one and having a smaller crest, actually. And so PARASAUROLOPHUS, again, being one of the most famous one, actually has one of the weirder crests in Lambeosaurinely speaking, because it had a backwards curved crest, which was inside it had a lot of tubes going up and down, which again supports vocalization. Must have been beautiful hearing that in the past. Is one of the the largest species, one of the largest and one of the larger Lambeosaurines at 30 feet. So there were no slouches when it came to size. But yeah, these guys again, they lived in Western North America. Lived with Lambeosaurus and CORYTHOSAURUS. Another thing I wanted to bring up about the rarity is that it was probably, or it's been proposed that it was because of migration. Like, the fossils that we found near that site is because they were just migrating and some individuals died throughout there. So they were probably not, so the theory is that they were probably not endemic to that location, but they could have been passing through there. But yeah, PARASAUROLOPHUS, I mean, it's awesome. It's so cool. Where did you know? Where was the first time that you watched PARASAUROLOPHUS? I want to say, I know it's gonna be so dumb. I know some people were gonna say The Lost World, but actually, Dinosaur King, the PARASAUROLOPHUS is an OG. Paras is gonna be in S tier, so that's gonna be the Lambeosaurin tier list. Yes, again, I haven't mentioned every single Lambeosaurin. There are a ton. Again, I missed Tlatalophus, which is the funniest one. But, let me know in the comments, what would you change? What would be your tier list, actually? What's your favorite Lambeosaurin? Let me know. Like, please, subscribe. It helps a lot. We're going to get to 500 subscribers, hopefully, before the end of the year. I'm going to keep pumping up these videos. Let me know again, which other videos do you want me to make? I'm going to definitely make them because there's a ton of videos I want to make. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one.